Hey, how you doing? Phew. God, I've been busy all day today doing product photography. There's nothing like taking the same image like 100 times over and adjusting something each time. Product photography pays well. You can do it in your underwear and watch TV while you're doing it, and that's nice and everything. Um, Actually, I wanted to explain. I'm not going to. This is about the psychology of why people are in such conflict. People are, and I've confirmed this with many, many people. People right now are extremely rude with what's going on in the world because they feel the strife. They're sick of the face diaper. They're sick of the bad economy and mom and pop stores being put at. There's like 1,000 reasons why people are upset. But one of the things that I notice that no one's talking about is that desperate, the old adage about in a dire situation, people always show their true colors. And I've been talking about this for years, actually, where you see these people that act like they're very peaceful gurus, and they're very calm, and they act like they're just they're a block of ice. Nothing gets them going. But you actually stick them in a dire situation, and you'll see who they are. In other words, their metal, the metal of who they are, will be exposed. Desperate times always expose people for who they are. I mean, they could be cowards, or they could be, I'd say they'd be slave-minded people. People that just love living under the yoke. They just don't want to be bothered. They don't mind, like, popping mood pills and watching the news and just repeating, obey, obey, obey. You know exactly the type of people I'm talking about. And of course you have freedom-loving, independent people. They don't want other people encroaching on their freedom. So when you actually have these desperate times, people expose who they are. And then what happens is that everybody else sees who everybody else is, and they don't like that. The comments I got on the past 2 videos over the past 48 hours, the videos entitled What's Going On? I asked people all around the world to tell me what's going on in your country, and I read every comment. I absolutely do. The comments I got were the same, generally speaking, like 95% plus. About 5% of the comments, however, and this is really to be expected, were people that were shocked that I wasn't, a brainless stooge, just playing along like an automaton, sitting in a queue line. I used to live in communist Russia, by the way, for quite a long time. I know what it's like to, just stick your head down and stand in line. Next, next. I'm not that sort of person. I never have. But the videos that I made called What's Going On the Web, literally about 95+% of everybody was agreeing with me. 5% of the people were appalled. They're like, how dare you? You should have just obeyed orders. Obey, 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 obey. Exactly. Be a sheeple. They were literally, 5% of them were mad at me. Some of them even said some really vitriolic stuff. And I expected that out of the videos. I actually expected it to be slightly higher than 5%, but there's way more than 5% of the people that are sheeple. Anyway, desperate times always also too expose power-hungry politicians and government stooges for who they are. They're either hands off, like the governor of South Dakota. What's her name? Kristi Noem. Isn't that what her name is? Like, everything's going great there. She's kept hands off. Everybody loves what's going on in South Dakota. Everybody. Except for people in New York and California. How dare she? It reminds me of that little know-nothing environmentalist. How dare you? What's that, what's that little know-nothing's What's that little know-nothing's sock puppet? And that's exactly what she is. She's a sock puppet. How dare you? Remember the speech she gave at the United Nations? How dare you? Man, that's going to last for 1,000 years, that speech. It's like, this is the Americanus idiotus. You know, it's an endangered species. Sorry about that. But when there's always strife, people are, and there's an experiment that was done, something similar to this. Like if you take a mass of people and then you put them in a room, they'll all get together and like talk, and you know, they're kind of like one homogeneous. But if you stick 3 identity markers for each group, like one religious shrine, a completely different religious shrine, and a third one, then people will gravitate towards whatever, you know, belief system that they got. And then when each group sees that these other people are part of a different, then they start to hate each other, and then they start to butt heads. Yeah, this is a proven fact. This psychological experiment has been done many times in countless different forms. It's always the case that humanity is bifurcated, and it always has been and always will be. There's no way around this. There's the herd mind or the collective mind, and then there's the independent mind. You know, the one that believes in freedom and independence, and the other type that just like, go along, you know, obey. They're really, and what's happened during this thing that's going on in the world. And I'm not telling anybody what to do in this video. I'm just stating facts, okay? I'm not telling anybody to do one thing or another, okay? But there's always been a move towards individuality and another move towards collectivity. Each one actually has some benefits. Individuality always has the most benefits. But it's like lemmings and wildebeests, that they like travel when like lions and tigers hunt wildebeests. You know, they'll travel in big herds, and like the ones on the outside might get picked off, the weak ones. But the herd as an entity, just like Roman soldiers. When Romans, and you know, the fascia symbol, a bunch of twigs that are tied together, sticks that are tied together. Each stick is easily broken, but when you tie them all together, they're unbreakable, the Roman fascia. This idea of collectivity. Collectivity has power. And that's the reason why a magnet actually has power ab extra to the object. Because it's a point source object. But there's a huge pitfall. And 1940s Germany, hello, that when you get a bunch of people agreeing to the same nonsense, people by and large are extremely unintelligent, and even more so, extremely unwise. And so there's always some evil leader that will take a hold of the herd mentality. This is almost politics, but it's not. I don't do politics. It's just the nature. It's just the nature of human nature. That an evil, sick person will take a hold of the collective herd mentality. Moo, bah! You know, the sheeple. That independent, the move towards individuality is always superior. It's always better. People that actually broke off from the herd to move far north, and you know, they actually had to do countless things to stay alive. That actually developed their minds. People that are independent. When you're in a herd, you don't actually have to think. Stupefaction occurs when you actually become part of the herd. Because you don't have to think, you just have to follow the herd, whatever the herd does. But the herd doesn't know. The herd's like a bunch of foolish lemmings, you know, jumping off the cliff to their oblivion. They always are that, always do that. So there is protection in a herd, but the herd is always, 100% always inferior in the long run. Always, because they get led by evil leaders. They always get, you know, led to their doom by evil people that want power over other people. Well, I'm going to take control of the herd. See, people that want control over other people, independent people, are not affected by that because they actually have the wisdom and the intelligence. Anyway, there's always two movements. One's towards collectivity, which is always inferior. Socialism. And the the move towards individuality, that's what we're actually seeing now. People are seeing what their brothers and sisters and neighbors are like. You know, it's like, just go along, get along, you know, don't ask any questions. Bah, bah. You know exactly what if you have a half a brain, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you know what I'm talking about is true. That's what's going on in the world. I'm not actually explaining what's going on in the world. I'm explaining actually how people are interacting, and they're seeing that their neighbors are either sheep or they're, you know, the sheep don't like the people that are individual. They like to think for themselves. The sheep hate people that think for themselves and don't follow the other sheep. And people that are independent, you know, that actually have a brain. Hello? People that have a brain, they don't like the sheep. The sheep don't like the people that think for themselves. And the people that are smart and intelligent and think for themselves, they definitely don't like the sheep. They don't. Neither one likes each other. And this is timeless, okay? That's what's going on in the world. Desperate times always expose people for who they are. And the sheep see that, oh, that person's independent. I don't like that. And the independent people say, oh, those people are sheep. I definitely can't stand sheep. And that's never going to change. It's never going to improve. It's because humanity, you know, you're either of a herd mentality, in which case you're always being led to your doom, because they always are. But there is safety in numbers. You ever heard that saying before? There's safety in numbers. Well, yes, there is, but there's also always doom in numbers, because when you get a bunch of sheep together, what happens is that immediately an evil entity springs up, like, you know, how do I control these sheep, make them work to my favor? Politician. So that's what's going on in the world. Everything I said in this video is irrefutable and undeniable. I hope you like this video. If you do, it's not monetized, so any donation is always greatly welcome. Luxi Veritas. Have a great weekend.